Targar friends, hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for another Orc Mode workout, and today was Max Effort Squat Day. And before you guys watched the pretty big PR, please click like down below, help keep the likes higher than the dislikes. You have to click like before you watch the max lift. Those are the rules. Alright, so thank you for doing that. Now, today, got a pretty big PR. I've only done 2 other non-box squats in the last, 10, 11 months. All right, we did a reverse band, and then we tried just a back squat, got 522. I decided I want to mess a little bit with the back squats because a lot of people try to claim the box squat doesn't carry over, and I think I've shown that it does. So I want to mess with some back squats. I'm going to do a little bit more of the classic lifts with chains right now because I've covered the other day why I want to mess with chains on these primarily for a while. And I think it'll be fun. Now I might go sumo and conventional back and forth on the deadlift. But this was pretty good. Now, myself, I questioned the depth a little on the 502, but it was really easy. So I made sure I sunk it deeper on this one. And again, anyone who's judged meets knows this back angle sometimes can look a little high, but I'm pretty sure we got it. I've judged enough meets at this point. And anyone who's questioned that, I'm sorry, there's footage and evidence of me judging international meets. Not up for debate. So, I got it pretty easy. I mean, it was tough, but it wasn't like 100% of everything that I had. I quit while I was ahead, though. I didn't want to risk failing a lift, but I felt like I could have gone up another 10. So we're going to mess with that a little bit, but that was 43 pounds of chains with 522 on the bar. Also, because those chains aren't completely all of it unloaded, it's probably still like 530 at the bottom. But we're up past 560 at the lockout, 530 at the bottom. I'm happy with that. We'll see if we can drive that up. But I think it's fair to say my back squat has done pretty good. But when I got to the hip thrusts, I did notice hip thrusts were challenging today. I made another 10-pound jump. And the hip thrusts after getting that squat PR, they were tough doing a weight jump. I really noticed my hamstrings and glutes were lit up doing these. They were lit up. And it was to the point where I couldn't finish the 5th set. I think I got to around rep 7 and my hamstrings cramped. Now, 2 days ago, we had a pretty intense hamstring workout, didn't we? Because we did a PR on this. We went up to 405 and we got 5 sets of 10. Right? Because I think I had done, 395, and then I did 405 for 4 sets, and then we went up to 405 for all the sets this time. I think that's what we did. And I got all of them. So I'm like, well, let me do a 10-pound jump, and it was at my limit. And I think it was especially at a limit after a good squat PR, because I'm a very hip-dominant squatter. Like for me, even when I hit a really heavy single like that, I tend to feel it in my hips. I've noticed I don't really feel back squats so much in my quads these days. The only time I sometimes feel a squat in my quads is on some of my box squats, like against bands, right? Like box squats against bands. I don't feel the back squats that much in my quads, and I think it's for me because my quads overdeveloped from all this other stuff. They're overdeveloped. I don't think my quads are going to be a limiting factor on squats, and I think things like the hip thrust will keep them growing. But I feel like I've built my quads up enough that they're more than adequate for what I'm trying to do. So it tends to be hips, glutes, things like that seem to really be where I feel it, but mainly hips. But this really kind of pushed my limits today, right? Now I've said my goal is to get up to 500 for 5 sets of 10 on this. And I've made some running jokes about that. We've made running jokes that, well, I'm scared I might be as weak as Brett Contreras if I put too much focus into the hip thrusts. But that's a joke because, all joking aside, I think it's because he just has never bothered to actually learn how to squat. Like, I don't think Brett is that weak. I think he just does not know how to perform a back squat. Because with what he does on a hip thrust, when I compare like my strengths and the muscles involved, it should be higher. And we have studies showing that the hip thrust can raise squat maxes without even training the squat. And it makes sense. You look at the muscles involved, it makes sense. It's a phenomenal entire lower body hypertrophy exercise. You could probably build a reasonably developed lower body off of nothing but the hip thrust. Now, I wouldn't recommend that you do that, but you could. So for me, I think it's going to be a staple. I feel like it's a phenomenal exercise. I've learned to do it correctly, and I feel like it'll bring a lot to the table. And it's been a lot of my lower body hypertrophy lately. Squats are still going up. Might be the only real supplemental lift I need for squats. Right? Just keep squatting heavy with my different variations, rotate through them, conjugate style, and get really proficient at high volume hip thrusts. And then obviously I do my other supplemental work. This stuff matters. Like I feel like the glute ham raises actually carry over to my squat. That's what I feel personally. And it's mainly because they light my hips up so much, and they and hamstrings and hips. Even though I don't really feel my hamstrings are a big deal on the squat, they might be because I'm a wider stance. I do feel like my hips matter, and the glute ham raise does seem to hit my hips just as hard as my hamstrings. So could be a lot to that, and I mainly do it for injury prevention on deadlifts. Like the main reason I do the glute ham raise is not even for performance. I do it for injury prevention. It reduces the risk of a hamstring tear, and it gives better knee stability, right? Make you a better athlete all the way around. Then I did obviously my Pendley Rows here, 5x10. And I'm going to stick to these, like I said, for a while. I'm going to do them just on my lower body days, because my pressing needs to be a little more specialized right now. And my volume's a little lower on lower body days because I'm doing a little more upper body specialization, because my bench is my weakest link. And my arms and forearms and grip are a weak link on my deadlift now. Probably the only thing stopping me from getting to, 630 to 650. Probably the only thing stopping me. So I need to fix it. So it'll give me a priority there. And the Pendley Rows will help with that. Then I got 2 glute ham raises. This is the end of my workout. I'll talk more about the squat here in a minute. I did these. This set felt good. It was no problem getting to 10. It wasn't quite failure. And everything felt good till I got off the GHR, and about a minute later, both of my hamstrings cramped. And I had to lay down and stick the massager on them. And that's it. My hamstrings are done. But I got a hamstring cramp, which made me fail the hip thrust. And then one set of this just lit them up. So here's what we run into. What have I said before? We have target volumes we want to reach, but I train with such high frequency and such high volume right now, in addition to the fact that we hit heavy singles above 90% on pretty much every day, that there are going to be times when those muscles are shot. And, we treat it accordingly. Now, how do we get around that? Massage my hamstrings. I'm going to dig the massager in them a lot today. I'll soak in a hot bath. I'll get a really good night's sleep. And I think it's possibly the fact I did miss a max deadlift 2 days ago. And then I hit my hamstrings hard afterwards. Right? We did those 405 hip thrusts, and we did all those good mornings afterwards. Right? Hamstrings pretty much took all they could handle. They took all they could handle. So that pretty much terminated my workout. I'm still going to do grip work and forearm work today, though. Like, that stuff's being done. I'll probably do it tomorrow, or I may take off tomorrow. So this will be my last day to get that done. And maybe because I'm going to try to deadlift in 2 days, I'll take tomorrow off from forearm work. 1 day because I'm going to have to pull the next day. So hopefully my grip recovers, and we'll see how that works out for me. But let's talk a little bit about the squat. Surprised with this. I'm happy with this, because I feel like this is a hair stronger now than my box squats. Now, people will say, but you've used 502 with more chain than this. Yeah, I have. But there's a difference between running more chain versus more plate weight. Yes, this is very similar in terms of lockout to my heaviest box squat recently. It's a hair lighter on the lockout. But what about at the bottom of the lift? This is 20 pounds heavier out of the bottom than that box was out of the bottom. And I didn't struggle with the top. This is fast. Watch the lift. This is not slow. I popped right through those chains. We popped right through the chains without grinding. So that means I'm good and strong once we get that weight moving. All right? Popped right up. Because I've been doing all the chains, I've learned how to grind through. So I think if I continue to do the chains with all this stuff, this is exactly what we're going to see. That as long as I can pop out of the bottom, I will be able to drive any weight through. And we'll make sure of that. That's why we'll train with the chains. And you know what? It's nice because it helps me get used to a heavier weight up top. So I get used to having 20 or 30 pounds more than I can squat to a max sitting on top of my shoulders. That's going to make this a lot easier, isn't it? It's going to be a lot easier moving forward when I go back to more straight weight. We just have to keep building that power out of the bottom, and that's going to come from things like the hip thrusts. They're going to give me that power out of the bottom.
Hell yeah.
So I'm confident. What have I said the goal is going to be coming up next year? I want to try to get to a 600 raw squat. Am I going to reach it? I don't know. But I'm going to get every bit of it that I can. Get every bit of it that I can. I'm going to get a 650 deadlift next year. Okay? And if we don't get there, it's not going to be for lack of effort. It just means we need a little more time in. So we'll have to pay attention to fatigue management, paying close attention to connective tissue, staying injury free, but mainly that stress management, connective tissue, right? But that squat's indicative of where we're going with everything. And I'm not doing any real squat specialization. And the squat is still slowly climbing from just the general training. So that makes me feel confident. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.